Tony Freijeh, everybody know him. Co-founder of MEA, CEO of Al-Wadi. He has 4,000 persons under him. And now Tony will speak about us how to live with crisis. And he has his opinion about that.
عليكم. أعرف عن نفسي أنا توني فريجي second generation poultry farmer. يمكن كتار من first generation بالنير ميدل ايست والسعودية بيعرفوا أخويا موسى. I have behind me 63 years of experience in this business. And when we talk about crisis, and I try to think, crisis A, what's crisis? Since we started this business, the 67 war, 70 war in Jordan, 73 skirmishes in Beirut, 73 war in the Middle East, 75 war in Lebanon, because our operations are in Lebanon and Egypt and Sudan these days. وبعدين مشي بقى الاجتياح الإسرائيلي 82, then another اجتياح إسرائيلي, then the more war in Lebanon, then we go to Egypt, and then we have the skirmishes of 1986, then we have ترشيد الاستيراد, then we have swine flu and bird flu and SARS and COVID and الثورة الأولى والثورة الثانية والآخري. Crisis is our managing under crisis is a default state. ده العادي بالنسبة لنا. So in our company, when we look at crisis, we make sure we are not consumed in managing the crisis. Because if you get consumed in managing the crisis, you halt, you stop. You stop everything. Because your brain is consumed in managing the crisis. In our company, we have developed a very robust crisis mitigation department and internal audit department. So we try to, as much as possible, mitigate crisis and get ahead of the story. But our focus as managers is not the crisis. It's how to grow in crisis mode. Because if you only focus on the crisis, you are paralyzed. عم أعدلكم الكرايسيس اللي بحياتنا. We don't know how to manage if we're not under crisis. To give you a few examples, let's take COVID. Managing under crisis is to defy the norm. Because if you go along with the wave and what governments want you to do, you are in deep trouble. إحنا شعب that doesn't work in the office. Are we going to work from home? لا معلش. Sorry. Since July last year, my office has been full staff. اللي عاجبه والمش عاجبه خليه بالبيت. It's as simple as that. Because we cannot just go along with the tide. Yalla, في عنا crisis, and we all get consumed in the crisis. Today we have a crisis of supply. Okay? Are we analyzing this crisis a little bit? We have no commodities and a shortage of material. Yet we have a shortage of containers. How? How can we not have a product and not have containers? Is it a supply issue or is it a logistics issue? Do we get consumed in this crisis and go and buy commodities at very high prices? Well, we sit and think on a weekly and a daily and a monthly basis whether we can transfer the cost of this material to the consumer. Do we take the risk of tying up cash at high interest rates and tying up product that is expensive when the crisis goes down? Every mountain is followed with a valley. Every mountain in the world is followed with a valley. There's a crisis, and the crisis goes away. And this crisis might go away faster than we think. So what do we do with all the commodities that we bought and we stocked? Managing crisis is a science and an art. We rely on science, but at the end of the day, it's the art that allows us as managers to manage the crisis in a sensible way and not just go along with the tide. I don't have much more to say because I need to leave the floor to others, but this is my comment. Sit back, read the science, read the numbers, and don't go with the flow, because every crisis goes away. Every crisis.
Shukran, Tony. Shukran, Tony. But every crisis goes away and bring another crisis behind it immediately. See, we're tired.
طبعا انا يعني الحياه كلها لازم بتستمر، وكلام مستر توني طبعا اكيد احنا ياما عدت علينا كوارث، مش في مصر بس، لا في مصر وفي كل منطقه الشرق الاوسط في العالم كله، من كارثه الى كارثه الى كارثه. المدير الصحيح والشركه الاكبر هي اللي بتقود السوق، هي اللي بتدي النصايح، هي اللي بتاخد الصغير وبتدي له النصيحه والارشاد، وده الدور اللي بتقوم بيه مجموعة الوادي، وأنا شاهد على ذلك كأحد المراقبين للسوق، على قيادة السوق مع باقي كبريات الشركات إنها تعدي الأزمة. لازم كلنا نمسك في بعض عشان نعدي الأزمة، نمسك في الصغيرين اللي بيشتغلوا في الصناعة علشان يمروا من هذه الكارثة. فلازم الكبار يستعدوا ويواجهوا وياخدوا مسؤوليتهم المجتمعية. الكبير زي ما ليه التزامات مادية ليه التزامات اجتماعية. بالطريقة دي السوق هيكمل والكارثة هتعدي، غير كده لا كلنا هننتظر مين ينقذنا. شكرا.
شكرا. خليها معك خليها. I would like also to a little bit translate what he said, especially for the international listener to us, that in few words, it's not a big word, but there is one condition. I would like also to introduce the speakers. Mr. Muhammad Sufi is the organizer of Agrena, and Agrena is an exhibition that everybody knows and is in contact with the small and the big farmer. And what he was saying, that it is very important that the big farmers help the small farmer to survive the crisis. And it is true what Tony has said, the crisis is not eternal. It will finish. Mr. Hazem Zayed, CEO of Cairo 3A.
This industry had witnesses several crises across the years, as Tony have said. If you go through the avian flu, if you go for the devaluation, if you go for the commodity crash 2008, all of these, I've been in an institution where we get benefit out of it. 2016, there was Egyptian devaluation, where most of the companies and industries generated losses because of the management crisis. How did they manage the crisis? I've been in an institution where they made profit out of this devaluation because we were not greedy to benefit from the banks, which will never happen, and getting the rates at a cheaper price, and recording in our books, for example, a fake value. Okay, like what happened for Sadia BRF. Sadia was acquired by BRF because they went bankruptcy because of the FX devaluation in Brazil, for instance. But in this industry, you can always get around with the crisis, and you can always benefit from the crisis and make profits as well.